Friday, everybody. Wanted to encourage all the men, all the blue collar men and women who do visibly hard, dirty, tough jobs. Like you hang in there, there's somebody that's been in the white collar and the blue collar. And by choice and by my circumstance. Where I come from is very respectable to do the industrial, to do the hard physical labor. Like there's a newfound respect. You see these dirty pants, dusty pants, these dusty boots, There's been a newfound respect, newfound head nod, a newfound that man on his job, that man on his business. So it's a mantra that I've been saying. It's a word that came out of me when I was in Foley, Alabama. About maybe 2 years ago, I was having that car trouble. Never be afraid to be found working. Don't be ashamed to be found working. And that's really what I'm made of. But you wrap it in maybe being sheltered from the work in one way, but having worked before. My previous generation, my father, the men that he's friends with, those alliances, like they done physical work. Like the women in my family, they've done the hospitality for Club Med, for the hotel, for the motels, being the room service, like not the room service, but what you call it, housekeeping, the housekeeping. They've done that. Like that was their era. And my family, both sides, citrus harvesting. Like in the state of Florida, that's how I wound up here, being born and raised here, me and my siblings. Because, as my dad said, money growing trees in Florida. That was that era, citrus fruit. So all of us Floridians, we have that thing that often is echoed about the Midwest, about Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and Michigan, and Indiana. They have their in Illinois. They have their workers' unions, their labor unions in Wisconsin. So don't be afraid to be found working. Like don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of when you're dirty. Like you still get love. People love the character you are. I'm the schoolboy, the good boy. But right now, the first task that I was able to put my hand to was with the temp agency. And the first job happened to actually be in my major. It's a sports property. It's a sports facility that I'm a general labor at, part of the cleanup crew. But I'm learning so many aspects of building, which is likened to building a house. So that's life experiences that's gonna go with me as a 37-year-old over my 120-year lifespan, my 185-year lifespan. Yes, I think rich. I think wealthy like that because the Bible says so. And Genesis 6:3. 6:3. I gotta get my verses right. And I like to encourage people with that. It doesn't mean that's the requirement, but you're able to live that long. So if I'm able to hand daddy's torch off, a man from the 50s, who I'm blessed to be walking earth amongst concurrently, and it's actually bettering our communication, understanding, outlook, our rapport. I'm doing the work that my community does. And when I get back up again, when I'm working for a university in the athletic department, when I'm working for a global sports entertainment company or sports property group, when I own a sports team, when I own a sports league, it's going to make a lot of sense because I got my groundwork and something that everyday people have to do. People that are getting their first jobs, people that are between jobs, people that are re-entering society after incarceration. You got a clean slate, a clean record. I don't have stereotypically a reason as to why somebody went that route, but I was an entrepreneur and still am an entrepreneur at heart, but I ran out of money. So I was willing to go back to work. And I put action to going back to work, and he put me to work, this temp agency. But it's been a great experience. So I'm here getting an oil change at this property through a rental car because my own very car is giving me a really epic problem. I ran out of money. But I'm on my job. And being in that job, knowing that there's pauses and breaks. There's pauses and breaks in those jobs. What I did is I went and found an evening and weekend job. And I've had some growing pains, some learning in there in a restaurant, washing dishes. But it's a corporate job, corporate restaurant, a restaurant with benefits. So God blessed me, and I appreciate what Bishop Daniel Robinson Jr. had to say, because there's several pastors, bishops, prophets, apostles I listen to, several ones that are from me. And I believe in prosperity. I believe in healing. I believe in tongues. I like what Bishop Dan said because he saw his father do it, and I come from similar background. You know, his dad basically had 2.5 jobs, 3 jobs. That's me. It's just like it's not for everybody. It's not something you just do. But if you got to do what you got to do in the meantime, and I like that because sometimes men get a bad rap even in the physical church, the building, the local community of it, for attendance. Well, for me, it's not a matter of interest. It's actually I am that helps worker, the one that'll help. But I'm in a situation in life where I like what he says because he's tied to Leroy Thompson Ministerial Association or Ministerial Alliance. And that's how I found him, listening to their camp meeting. That's how I discovered who that is. And it's like that. Sometimes some of the best ever to do it, you got to go find it. And qualified by God, the way God sees it. What happened is we got us some networks, no rivalry. We'll know those names. And you'll see somebody operating in the excellent in their initiatives that God gave them, and they're talking about something that maybe socially people in their traditions may disagree with, butt heads with, but because I received that it's from God, it's in the book, and I hear your message, and you're a real person in so many ways, real as in teaching me something that challenges me according to the book and according to the kingdom. And the results that you have in your life, and the fruit that you bear, what your life look like, that's great. It's not qualifying, but it's a witness. It's a sign and a wonder. So what Bishop Dan was talking about, his dad's a chef. He had one job, and sometimes he had another job he'd go to, and another job he'd pick up sometimes. And in balance, yes, he was a father, a husband and a father, what have you. And here's Bishop Dan, who grew up similar to me on the Atlantic coast. I'm from Florida. He's from Virginia. Bishop Daniel Robinson Jr. When you make your way out the hood, out the country, out the hood, any of that, and he's on football scholarship. I tried to go the same route. I went to college, I graduated. But when Bishop Dan, what he did was he made it all the way to being a pharmacist. But the heart of God, he's a pastor now that's still a pharmacist. And it's great to see that, a black man. But not saying out of ethnocentrism, you don't see enough black representation at times. And I like what he had to say. For all the people that are curious, he's in Virginia. He said it like this, because some people, I have to let people know where I am. He talks about marriage, family, and he he can be he and his wife Elena, they can be the overseer of families, like premarital counseling, like a covering for families, things of that sort. He said, what about if it's a black man and a white woman? Maybe he's just a random questions. Pastors ask those questions that people have those questions. It's Virginia. You get what I'm saying? He said, as long as it's a man and a woman. See, the thing is with Bishop Dan and saying when you mention black man, it doesn't disqualify you. It's just a sign and a wonder. It's a qualification. It's not that you can't. A lot of us were held back for so long. And when he draws that picture in picture, his father and what he had to do, and Bishop Dan's willingness, it reminds me of my father. My father, that man can work. 73 years old, he still worked. But we're starting to build this rapport because I would. It's almost like I was sheltered from the work, but I was willing to work. I was a football player. That strength and conditioning was hard. I was a high school football player. High school is just this much under approach. In places where they know what they're doing, like Florida, Texas, California. No, you working. It's hard. You get pushed to your limits. You learn something about work, being a high school football player. But I would work with that. I would mow a little bit with him when I was younger. But it was more so like he's protecting me almost with the alibi he don't want to. Me and my younger brother, they don't want to. Yeah, they would not be able to want to. But the fact that I, as a man in choice, get up, get dirty, get dusty, dirty like Rick Ross say, like our Jamaican friends say, that's it, Paul. I'm willing to do that for $12 an hour, sometimes 13 an hour, 15 an hour. But it's led me to a place where I'm getting back on my feet, as people say, and it gives me an option as to my next vehicle purchase, and it gives me an option as to how I want to go about that ride sharing. It's not my life; it was one of my first legitimate touches of entrepreneurship. But you keep your vision alive while you keep your dream alive while you're working the job. So if you're construction and debris, general laborer, a line cook, a chef, a dishwasher, a garbage collector, public works, parks and recreation, if you water treatment, wastewater, if you're the concrete person, the land development person, the power line person, all that hard stuff, the painter, because painter don't just sit here and do this. Sometimes they're climbing. They're supposed to some stuff. The truck driver, the warehouse worker, the welder, all the trades people, all the hard working people, all the nurses. They got to work all them hours, and PAs and doctors and anesthesiologists. Trust me, I'm coming from the white collar, regrouping with the blue collar is gonna make the better man. There's a greater story in this. So I want to encourage all my hardworking people never respected that. Well, I was always pretty boy. He don't know about no hard work. Man, people respect this dust, man. But I'm gonna go home and clean up. It's Friday night, St. Patrick's weekend. I ain't getting into no shenanigans. But it's a chance to go make money. For all the people that do ride share, that's what you do. Look for the spikes and the surges. Look for the very Irish communities, the Irish towns, the towns that express like so, the towns that mention St. Patrick's Day for real, for real. All the Savannahs of the world, all the Bostons, all the Chicago's, all the New Orleans, all the places that got that population, that history. Probably Indianapolis as well. Any of that. You go get your money. That's how you do that. But I'm gonna sign off now. Y'all be blessed.